Oh, so I'm kicking around an idea for Dragon Slayer since I'm feeling my two games are about ready to touch death. They are really unlucky or they push to luck sometimes. Which what adventurers do. We push our lucks. So I started looking at Dragon Slayer. I've talked about running them a game in Dragon Slayer for a while, and I'm going to leave Old School Essentials as soon as these two campaigns run their course. And I hope they don't end prematurely. I hope they make it all the way through and triumph. You know? Although, my power level, I was expecting literally 2 to 3 more players on my Monday game, and I dropped down to 3. So I went from 5 that I thought I could count on to 3. And that has made it a very uphill fight. Toss in a session where some level draining got tossed around, and you have hard mode. But that's not what I was going to talk about today. I was going to talk about starting stats. And I know that the hardcore among us, like got 3d6 in order figured out. And we always did 4d6 drop in a range, right? A range to taste. That way you can beat anything you want. Now, what I've settled on to is 2d6 plus 6. You can get a -1, but you don't really see -2s or -3s. It's not statistically possible. So the range is -1 to +3, in theory. It turns out to be a lot of +1s, to be honest. It is a lower mean than you would think it would be by just hearing the +6. So it works out. I like it. Nothing's super suck. Nothing is godly. So I like the 2d6 plus 6. I call it my heroic method. And a player who's interested in playing Dragon Slayer, when we get it started, he asked, "What are you doing? 3d6 in order? Blah, blah, blah." I'm like, you know what? I hadn't thought about it. Now, one thing I do not ever do is subtract 2, add 1. Like in Moldvay, you could cannibalize your stats to build stats up. I allow a range to taste, which a lot of people poo-poo in the OSR, but it's not your game. It's my table. Suck it. But I don't like the plus and minus thing at all. That is the proto-min-maxing, in my opinion. You heard me say it. Subtract 2, add 1 is proto-min-maxing. Suck it. So arrange the taste and deal with it. Then apply racial modifiers if you want to play a race. Now, when I was playing 3, I would play any kind of crazy race or whatever. And it burnt me out on the game. So now it is the standard fantasy races. Dwarf, elf, half-orc. I don't run gnomes. That's the other big question. Do I allow them to play gnomes? I don't like them at all. And I'm also debating if I'm going to allow the Cyclopskin to be a playable race. I don't like them either. Just don't. Sorry. I see the inspiration for it, and a lot of people like it. So I don't know. I am planning on having a session 0 group chat where everybody rolls their characters while we're all together, and we talk about possible house rules. And one of those being the 2d6 plus 6, which I'm already decided on. And then we'll talk about all shields may be splintered and stuff like that. But stat arrays, there were like multiple methods in the Unearthicana. And I remember reading through them. Some of them I just went, no. And I don't like any kind of point-buy system. Despise point-buy systems. You can play anything you want. It does remove some of the randomness, doesn't it? And it creates the build mentality. Build. Alright, and I mean, if you want to play a video game, go play a video game. But at my table, we let fate steer you. We let random chance steer you through a decision that sparks some kind of imagination spark, right? You look at the stats, you go, I can't be anything. Then you look at them a little more and go, well, put this here, I could be this. Yeah, this looks cool. Yeah, I'm gonna make it work. That's what I'm doing. That's what I strive to do. That's all I'm doing. Definitely going to do max hit points at first level. That's almost a granted. But it looks like when I switch over, I might have a core of 4. My other game will always have 6. Those guys like playing with each other. They're joined at the hip. So if they still want to play fantasy with me or try Wretched, I will pitch Wretched and or fantasy at them. But they're fantasy guys at heart, so they never get tired of fantasy. And I don't either. I never get tired of fantasy. It never gets boring and stale to me. Never. So we'll kick around some ideas. But stats. Are you point buy tards? Or do you like 3d6 in order? Suck it up. Or are you guys 46 drop 1? And 46 drop 1 arranged to taste, which honestly, it's not much different than my 2d6 plus 6. When you follow the mean. When you follow the curve, it's a little to the right of it for higher stats. Just a bit. Just a tad. Maybe like 2 data points. That's it. So that's what I go for. 2d6 plus 2. You have a little small bell curve and a big boost. But I thought I'd throw it out there today. I hit my 50 subscribers, which was my goal for the summer. So I hit my goal. So I need to set myself another goal. A date that I probably should shoot for 25 more viewers. A 50% increase in channel. So that I can find 50% more people, 25 more people who are interested in how I run my games. Maybe when I start running Dragon Slayer and I start focusing more on Dragon Slayer, that might be a thing. If there's people out there playing it. I noticed that the Discord server for Dragon Slayer is kind of slim, to be honest. It's a small server. Might have nudged myself into an even smaller niche hobby. I'm fine with that. Later, y'all.